Okay, so
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay. All right. Just a moment, guys.
Yep.
Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So, everybody, welcome and thank you for your time. And it's nice to meet people from many countries. And now we are celebrating the Olympics.
Yes.
So, it's a nice time to like enjoy each other's countries and cultures. Um, First of all, I love New Zealand, but I also love Japan, and I have been to Italy. It's a great country. I have not been to Kenya, but my friend Chiaki is a Japanese lady who helps run the Magoso school in Kenya in the Kibera slum area. So I know a lot about Kenya from her. Um, I I love Japan, and I was very lucky to live in the Oki Islands. And the Oki Islands is a wonderful place to visit and live. So let's talk about that today. First, I want to share with you um, a little bit about Oki. Can you see this?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. So, sorry. So first, I want you to try to watch this video, if it's gonna work.
It's working, yeah.
Can you see it?
皆様お疲れ様でございました。まもなく本当の笑顔であふれている島、島根県の沖ノ島に到着いたします。
Okay.
Sounds a little bit better for me.
Yeah. Could everyone see the video? Yeah, great. So, um, I I was very lucky to go to Japan. And my plan was to go for 1 year, but the people I met and the things I saw encouraged me to stay for one more year and then another year and continuing. So I spent 15 years in Japan. Um, and that was great. Yeah, that was a really good experience for me because I could meet amazing people, and those people are still my very special friends today. And those are my treasures of Japan. Takaramono.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, first of all, just go back a little bit. So, I just want to tell you, can you see this? This is
Yes.
my plan. This is me. Hopefully I wrote in Japanese, but I will speak in English.
Yes.
So I was born in New Zealand in a place called Tauranga in 1979. So now I'm 45. At high school, I started to study Japanese, and I did really well, and I really liked Japanese. So I continued to study Japanese at university, and I also studied education, kyoiku, actually. And I became a Japanese teacher in New Zealand. And I was a Japanese teacher for 4.5 years. But I realized I didn't know Japan very well. I could speak some Japanese. I knew about Japanese festivals a little bit, but I didn't know about Japanese life because I'd never lived there, only just visit or do short homestay.
Yeah.
So in 2005, I was accepted on the JET program, and I was a CIR, Coordinator for International Relations, Kokusai Koryuin, and I was sent to Shimane. I didn't want to go to Shimane. I cried and cried. I wanted to go to Osaka, Kansai. But I thought I will go there for 1 year, and I lived in Matsue. And I thought I will come back to New Zealand and become a better teacher. But Matsue was great. My colleagues were lovely, and the people in my town were so supportive. And then I went to the Oki Islands for a holiday, and then I met some wonderful people, and one of those people is Tetsuro, and we start dating, and then he became my husband, and I moved to Oki. He's from Oki. This is his hometown, Nishinoshima. And we lived there for 10 years together. But yeah, then I realized actually I love my home in New Zealand too. And I have small children and I want them to experience New Zealand life. And so we moved to New Zealand during COVID time. Yeah. And now I teach Japanese again in a town called Tepuke. It's famous for kiwi fruit. So it's INAKA again. But yeah, it's a nice inaka. And we have a lot of people from many different countries living in Tepuke. So I teach Japanese and Isol, which is English for people who don't speak English normally. So second, third language speakers. That's me. Yeah. So now I miss Japan, and I am very happy that Samira contacted me and gave me a chance to talk about Shimane and Oki. Yeah, so thank you. And the people that I met in Oki made me happy, and hope today meeting you also makes me happy. So yeah, being happy is very important for me. Masa, do you like to be happy?
Of course.
Yeah. What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? Oh, okay. To meet new people and interact with people, doing some activities with people.
Yeah.
My loved ones. Yeah, everything. I like trying something new.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So exactly, me too. That was why I loved Oki so much. Yeah. Okay. Samina, do you want to say hello to other people?
Yeah, excuse me, Nicola. We have two new friends like Kasue-san and Chiaki. Kasue-san, can you say hi to all? We already finished the introduction session, so say something if you like.
Yes, yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear
Okay,
you.
thank you. Nice to meet you. I live in Tottori Prefecture. Actually, I got a new job, so I'm moving to Shimane Prefecture, the capital of Shimane, Matsu City, as a tour guide. I'm very curious about this meeting. So, but I'm sorry, I misunderstood the starting time, so I joined right now. When actually today's topic is very interesting to me because I'm starting to working as a tour guide, and I want to show off about countryside like Oki, and also I just came back from UK to improve my English course, and Ireland. I went to the some countryside, which is Shetland Island, and there are many people, young people and older people living in the island. And I was very impressed the word, which is the postcard. It says, thank you for supporting the local businesses. And I was so moved. And also, I went to the northern part of Scotland, which is called, I forgot, Shetland Island, which is also assigned by the UNESCO Geopark. So I want to compare to show the museum and also about Oki as well. So I'm very curious about this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Jackie, can you hear us? And if it's possible, you can tell a few words about you.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, I'm Chiaki from Kenya. I'm talking from Kenya.
Nice to meet you.
Hi,
Yes.
Chiaki-san.
Yeah, hi. It is 5 a.m. in Kenya. So sorry, I was a bit late to join.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm Nicola's friend. And I have been to Oki several times.
Wow.
And I just fell in love with Oki so much, and I like islands. I've been when I go to Japan, I try to go to the different islands. I travel a lot, and so I'm excited hear more from you. Thank you. And I have introduced about these events to my friends also from Kenya. If some people could join, and I could see Johnson is joining, so I'm happy. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for joining. Okay. Okay, thank you. So Nicola, you can continue.
Oh yeah. Okay, thank you. So yeah, I loved living in Oki. I loved living in Shimane in Japan, and Japan is a great country because you can visit. It's very small, and it's very easy to get around. And getting to Oki is an adventure, but it's not impossible. But you have to be, you need to research. You cannot just wait for the ferry every 10 minutes like Yamanote-sen. It's not like that. But if you make the effort to go to Oki, you will be rewarded with many good things. So in my time in Japan, I worked at the Shimane Kencho, the Shimane Prefectural Government building, and part of my job was working in tourism. And I love to travel, so I could give my opinion as a tourist. And Shimane people always said to me, Shimane wa inaka nani mo nai yo. And they thought inaka is a bad thing. But for me, like, I like to visit Tokyo for a holiday, but I don't want to live in Tokyo. So I really I thought people saying inaka is rural is a bad thing. I disagreed, and I would always say, no, Shimane is really good. or in Totori, yeah, of course. So I think that first, if you want to visit Oki as a tourist, or if you want to live in Oki as a person working, it can be a very good place for you. And I was very nervous to live there, but I am very pleased that I did. And in the video, you saw many people. They are my friends. Everybody can be your friend in Oki if you are working there or if you are visiting as a tourist. But I wrote from my experience in Oki. I worked at the Kanko Kyokai and the Tourism Association, and even people in my office said, Oki, nani mo nai. There's nothing here. But their job was to promote Oki. So it was very strange for me. But my job, I would we had many groups of Japanese tourists come, and we needed more bus guides. So I became a bus guide. I spoke Japanese to Japanese people and telling them how wonderful Japan or Shimane Oki is. And most people enjoyed the experience. They're like, oh, gaijin, bus guido. Yeah. They didn't understand why I was there. But for me, it was a good chance to teach Japanese people about the good things of their country or the place they are visiting. But on the bus tour, we see many beautiful places, but we don't see people.
Yeah.
We went like Kankochi, one stop, next stop, and back to the port, eat lunch, sayonara. They go to the next island. And many people said to me, Oki ni hito ga iru? Like, are there people? Where are the people? So I felt sad that they couldn't meet the people in my town. So I always told them, please come again, but don't come on a bus tour. Mata kite kudasai. Bus tour yamete kudasai, or something like that. And obviously, the tour company person was always a little maybe angry with me. But it's better to come and experience it for yourself or with your family or your friends, not 30 people on a big bus. It's good. It's okay. But my advice is please come, in a small group. So you can see the beautiful scenery, but also meet the people that I think is takaramono of Oki. That's what I really want to tell you today. So people for me is my takaramono, and the beautiful scenery, the beautiful culture and history is also important, but the people are what makes Oki such a good place. And I think Samira can agree to that too.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I lived in Oki, I worked in the tourist office, and we had no tourists from overseas, really. Maybe in 1 year, maybe 10 people came. And these people were challengers, very brave people who read in the guidebook, it says, in Oki, in Shimane, there are some islands called Oki. People don't usually go there. It's very small, or it's very hard to get there. But they saw that and thought, right, I'm going. And they found the ferry in Sakai Minato and like, oh, where's that ferry going? And got on the ferry and just appeared. And no plan, no Japanese usually. So I had to help them. And then I realized that these people love Oki, or they worked hard to come here, and maybe we should have the ferry timetable in English, or maybe we can have the bus timetable for my town in English. So I asked my boss, like, sumimasen, tean ga arimasu, I have an idea. And he said, nande, doshite? Like, why? So I tried to encourage him. And then we had a phone call from Lonely Planet, the guidebook. We want to visit Oki. Can we come? And we want to write something more about Oki. So I said, dozo kite kudasai. Please come. And we will. Then I called to the ferry company. Please, very famous guidebook person is coming. Please pay for their ticket. Onegaishimasu. And they said yes. And their hotel, I told a hotel, they said yes. If you ask the people, they were excited to have people from another country visit Oki. So we were lucky. And from there, Lonely Planet, this much, became 2 pages in a book. And we started to get more tourists. And I don't have the book here, but it's very good now. People use that guidebook. And at the same time, Oki started to become a global geopark. Want to be a global geopark because of the beautiful its geology, the nature, and the way of life of the people it's matching together. So I was lucky to be able to promote the Oki Islands in English to the world. And we started with maybe 10 tourists from foreign countries. And when I left my job, we had about 500 tourists a year coming from other countries. And then we also invited small cruise ship to come to Oki. And we organized the cruise ships to come. And then COVID happened. And I had babies. So I stopped working for tourism. Yeah. But Oki became quite popular for challengers, brave foreigners. And when foreigners come, like, gaikokujin, Nihonjin, Japanese people love gaikokujin, or what they do. Like, oh, there are many foreigners going to Oki. Oh, yeah, we should go too. So we saw some young Japanese people or coming by themselves to Oki because gaikokujin were going there. Yeah. And because they saw it in magazine or on TV, lots of famous Japanese people were promoting Oki as well. So it became quite a popular place for people like you, young, enthusiastic, energetic people coming to Oki. Yeah. Yeah. So, Samida, do you want to ask your questions and talk, or get everyone to ask?
Sorry.
You had some questions. Do you want to ask them to guide the talk, or?
Yeah. I mean, we can.
Yeah.
Is that you want to proceed? You have some more, or like we can have a conversation?
I do have some more things, but maybe we have some questions. Maybe.
Yeah.
Does anyone have a question?
Yeah.
May I?
Oh.
Yes. Go ahead.
And Johnson has a question too. He wrote it. Yes. Yep. We'll ask. Okay, Kazue.
Okay. Hello.
Hi.
Actually, I've already said I just came back from UK as a tourist in there. See, the Lonely Planet really helped. And also, before I left Japan, I read this book and it worked very much because my mobile phone doesn't work anyway. So, about the Shetland Islands, which is very northern part of Scotland, and luckily they understood my poor English anyway. So I compared about Oki and the Shetland Island, which is also assigned by the UNESCO Geopark, and I very impressed about the people living in that island. So I agree 100% of you, Nicola, because there I was a tourist from another planet, if I say. So they didn't explain about what kind of tourist spot, blah blah blah, But how can I say? Yes, I wanted to communicate with local people who live in the islands. I really agreed. So when I back to Japan and I introduced about Oki or rural countryside, I want to introduce the people living in the countryside, which you can't Google, not on the guidebook. So I really agreed with you. I learned and I felt like that feeling when I was there, and also that island as well. And I want to copy the word I've already said. Thank you for supporting local businesses. I was so impressed. So not only the tourist spot, but also the people. I want to introduce people who live in the countryside. So I really very happy to join this meeting. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Great. Yeah. I think it's the people make the experience. Yeah. So if you are going to travel to anywhere, but if you're traveling to Oki, please make the time to talk with the people or meet people. Don't just go to the cafe and eat lunch. Like when you are there, talk to the owner, or you can research like what's a good place for lunch. Why?
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah, and Oki's interesting because there are many local people doing things, but in Oki, many local people are getting very old. So the next generation of people are not maybe from Oki. But they love Oki, so they moved there and start a business. But some have been there for generations.
Yeah, so
So
I can
definitely talk to the people
also,
and
so
support them.
we need to pay forward,
Yeah.
Pay forward to. I get some information, and also I teach to the young people who live who settle down from other countries. I want to introduce. How can I say? I want to continue the information which I learned. So so not only old people but also the new people, we can share the time. I think I can do that. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's really good, and really it's really good to have the people like Kasue-san who wants to introduce Shimane and Oki also. Yeah, it's really important to have people like you.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
and we have Nana-san from Oki Islands. Nana-san, can you speak, or is it?
Yeah, I can speak a little bit. Hi,
Okay.
I'm Nana. I'm living in town now, and then I'm working at Ento, a hotel located right next to port. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Hi, Nana-san. Nice to see you.
And as Kasue-san said, she also from outside. She's from, I think, Hokkaido. And now living in as I turned in living in Amatown for maybe 2 years or so.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
And Nana-san, thank you for joining with your schedule.
Yeah, thanks, Nana. Nice to see you.
And any others who have questions?
So Johnson typed some questions.
Sorry. I'll read it.
Yeah. How do cultural practices and traditions differ in rural areas compared to urban areas? And I think in rural Japan, the festivals or the way people eat, like their meals, I feel like it has a long tradition, and people are keeping that. They're doing the same. When I visit Tokyo, I used to go to eat Indian food or Mexican food, but I can't do that in Oki. That's a good thing. I like to do that in the city, but many people are still proud of their tradition and culture, and some people don't know it well, but more people I think are proud of this now. They realize it's like INAKA is important. INAKA culture, it needs to be looked after. So I think that's the difference, especially in Oki. There are 4 main islands, and I think Oki is Oki. But even within Oki, like I could take the ferry to the island where Nana-san lives in like 7 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But if I go there, they say, "Oh, Nishinoshima, arigato, thanks for coming all the way." I'm like, no, it's just there. It's close. But Oki people's toi, far, is actually from a different island sometimes. So their tradition is like my town, my village, my little part of my village has this tradition. And in the other island, it's different. And they kind of think of each other as like gaikokujin almost sometimes, like foreigners, which is really strange for me. I'm like, it's the same. Oki wa oki da yo. But they say, yeah, chigao. Ma oki wa oki da kedo, naka chigao. And maybe like Chiaki-san's visited there and she's been around. Everyone's lovely and kind and helpful, but they're kind of proud of being this different island. So they hold on to that. And one thing the education system in Oki is doing is they are teaching the students to be proud of where they're from and like hold on to that. And also they are inviting students to come from the big cities to do a called Shima Ryugaku, like exchange program. Instead of going abroad to another country, come to Oki to study. And they learn about local things, so global and local, and how those can work together to support like each other, solve problems, which is really cool. And I loved being involved in local studies at Oki Dozen High School. I used to go and teach there sometimes. Yeah. So they're still promoting that, but that wasn't there when I first went to Oki. It's changing and getting better, I think. And if you are visiting, if you are going to Oki as a foreigner, of course you can go as a tourist, but now because there are more tourists from other countries, there are jobs in tourism for non-Japanese. There are jobs, I think, for anyone that can speak English. There are more jobs in Japan now, not just teaching English, but tourism job or something connected to tourism maybe is giving people more chance. I know that not all tourists to Japan speak English, but just having like gaikokujin working shows that the Japanese people want to have someone who's not Japanese, and maybe that person can teach them how to care for people from other countries better. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
that, I hope that answered the questions, Johnson. Yeah.
Johnson,
Yeah.
you have any compliments, or is it fine with you? I think, he will type again.
Yeah, I think so far so good. And the reason as to why I'd asked, as you look at maybe some of us that have been to Kenya before, when you look at the cultural aspect, comparing the rural setup in Kenya and the urban setup, there are two different things happening. Because most of the rural areas in Kenya are mostly dominated with the original inhabitants of those rural areas. Like for myself, I come from Kisumu. Most of us there are from the Luo community, so we hold on to our Luo tradition in terms of how we communicate in our native language. But when you come to Nairobi, which is an urban setup, then different people have migrated from different parts of the rural areas in Kenya. So you find in our urban setup, we are not so much glued to our culture. We are not so much glued to our native languages. And with this, it has led to the emergence of a slang, which is a combination of Swahili, some of the local languages, and even English. And to some extent, because of the, let's say, some sort of modernization, you are not able to spot who is a Luo, who is from this community, unless they mention their name.
Right.
But when you go to a rural setup, you can easily tell. And then again, as a young person who would also want or who aspire one day to also visit Japan, and the reason as to why I'm so much anchored towards visiting Japan, I mentioned I come from Magoso. Magoso is an abbreviation of Mashimoni Good Samaritan School for the Orphans, which I'm glad Cheke Yakawa has joined the call, and I'm happy she was able to share this. I'm happy to learn. This project is supported by the Japanese friends who come and see what happens in Kenya, what happens in Kibera, and the living standards in Kibera. And I've always been amazed on how they are more than willing to support the dreams we have as kids in Kibera, because for my case, I first came to Kibera in 2004 from Kisumu, and I've been in Kibera since 2004 till date. That should be roughly around 19 or 18 years. And having interacted with the Japanese people, and as time also goes by, getting to also engage with a few of the Japanese culture, obviously the language. Chekis are also introducing us to some of the culture. And bit by bit, we also get to learn a few Japanese words. Ohayo gozaimasu, sayonara, supasen. This has quite helped us, and the food, sushi. So I believe these are the interactions that keeps us going, and getting to know that in as much as Japan is also advanced, there are challenges, and through those challenges, you're able to do or work beyond those challenges. There are challenges in Kibera, but the inspiration we get from our Japanese friends and Cheke Yakawa, this has been what is moving us. So I'm glad to have joined this call, and I'm happy that the questions have been answered. And unless there is a question that comes, I'll surely type it in the chat box. Thank you once again for this opportunity.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Yeah.
And
I think in Johnson, your ideas are really interesting. And in the chat, I shared the link to the school, to Magoso, that you and Chiaki are supporting, working with. So if you are interested, please follow. It's a very cool story. Yeah. In the Oki Islands, Johnson, there are families who struggle with money, but there is nothing, like the standard of living is very high, I think, compared to anything that I have seen in the things Chiaki has shown me about people living in Kibera. But the way of life for some people in Oki is hard because it's islands far away from the mainland, and it's not always easy to get a good job or a job that pays well. If you are a fisherman, you are the rich person in Oki still. If you are a farmer, you are raising cattle, cows. If you can sell that cow to the mainland, it becomes Kobe beef. Then maybe you are going to be a rich farmer. But it is a hard life for some people. But they do have a beautiful landscape to live in, and they have a beautiful culture and traditions that keep people going, I think. So it is different. But yeah, INAKA life can be very hard. The interesting thing about Oki is, like I said, there are lots of Oki people who have always lived in Oki, but some do go off to Tokyo, Osaka. But what's happening is lots of I-turn people coming to live in Oki from other places. So from urban to rural, but because we can work online, people can live in Oki and still have a job and have a nice, peaceful INAKA life. That's what I think is a big change. So if you are going to be a tourist in Oki, we have Wi-Fi. You can still work and be you can be on holiday, but you can check your work email and then enjoy the scenery have a nice seafood lunch, do a little bit of work, like nonbiri yukuri, like take your time. Don't rush. And if you are worried, like, oh, I have to take 3 days off work, it's okay. Take 3 days off. Takes 1 day to get to Oki, 1 day to get back, maybe. But that 1 day, please enjoy the time. Make sure you meet lots of people. Yeah, because those people might encourage you to come again and again and again. In the message box, I'm going to put some links for you of if you want to travel to Oki and you want to learn about it in English, there is a really good website that you can use called Visit Oki Islands. It's English. There's also Japanese, so that you can use that to help you. And also, I worked in Nishinoshima, and people tell me that's the most beautiful of the Oki Islands. So maybe I agree, actually. It has the most dynamic scenery. If you visit Nishinoshima, then please walk along the coast. Don't just go there and take a photo and go home. Please walk through the cows and the horses. If you are staying by the port, please walk around the port. Yeah, but you can get a lot of information about this in English or Japanese through websites. And if you have a lot of money, please go and stay at Ento, where Nana works, because it's a fantastic hotel. And you can just sit in your room and enjoy the beauty of Oki and just do nothing for like 3 days. It would be nice too. I've only been there for maybe 1 hour, but I wanted to stay. But my husband's family lives in Oki, so I had to go to their house and stay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about others, Marco or any others? Masa, you have any question to Nicola?
It's not a question, but yeah, let's say that's a question. If I remember well, I had a job offer from Oki Islands, from an architecture studio based in Oki Islands a couple of years ago.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't remember the name, but it was, I think, let me check. No, it was on the big one.
Dogo or Okinoshima-cho.
Okinoshima. Yeah, it could be Okinoshima. But at the end, in the negotiations, since it was, a remote area, I didn't want to just jump, So I proposed to have some kind of half remote, half going, a couple of days a week, and so. But at the end, it didn't work out somehow. But it was very, very interesting. So, as you said before, probably recently, some other job opportunities starting to pop out. But I wonder if someone wants to go there from scratch. Is it possible to, move there? Or how do you see this kind of approach?
So I think that each of the islands, they have their own yakuba, town office, and they have Shimane-ken also has this, and they support the islands with like iju, like moving from one place to the next place. And there's a lot of support to get people to live in Oki because the population is going down. Older people are dying. It's quite sad, but they want to keep the islands alive and have a lot of energy. So there is a lot of support for people to travel, to move to Oki. Maybe Nana-san knows. She's from Hokkaido, but she's living in Oki. So
can you add something? Because Nicola, there's 2 Sri Lankans now working in Ento.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now 2 people from Sri Lanka working at Ento and doing some cleaning and also making beds and something like that. And then
how did you end up in
how they
found
Ento? They're actually they were learning Japanese in a Nihongo Gakko in Tokyo, and then they just graduated, then and looking for jobs, and then I think the head of the school found the Oki and then contacted us, and they introduced he introduced the two guys, and and now they're started working, I think last month. Then it's been a month and living in an Oki Amatown and working with us together.
They're not Arbeiter, right? They're working for like
I think it's kind of, I'm not sure, but probably
right?
seasonal.
Seasonal something.
Yeah, year or half year.
But still it's something.
Yeah, I think a good thing in Oki is generally there is accommodation, like there are houses available for people to live in, sometimes a bit old and boro, but people are also doing the houses up. And I know in Amatown they started doing share house.
Yes.
Like in New Zealand we call that flatting. For me, it's normal to share a house with others. But in Japan that's not common.
Not really.
So I was really surprised when people said, "Oh, share house or tsukuru yo." Like, wow, that's cool. So people who are young or like moving to Oki, they make friends in this share house, and then they're working. So
the thing is
it's easier than it used to be.
Yeah, there is not a lot of housings for people because there's so many people want to move to Oki, but not enough houses. That's why we share.
It's the case in
especially
Amacho,
especially Amacho. That's why I also shared a house with a high school teacher